What's up, everybody? This is another episode of Brewed Opinions. We are back. KT, what's going on, dude?
What's up, man? Been a crazy week. Like, house is getting retiled. I got all kinds of shit going on. But here I am, ready for another episode of the pod.
We got a busy week ahead this past week. We had some scheduling conflicts with our original plan of having Brady Gibson on from PWR. We're going to get that rescheduled. Our schedule didn't work. His schedule didn't work. A bunch of outside influences. You know, we all have lives, and unfortunately,
end of the year and holiday season, man.
We will have Brady on in the next couple weeks before their next show. So stay patient on that, and we'll get everything going. But other than that, dude, we had an unbelievable week of wrestling right after Survivor War Games. We got new tag team champs on SmackDown. We got a fake tribal chief walking around with an Ulafele on his, which means that he's a tribal chief, which whatever. We got Matt Cardona showing up on Ring of Honor TV. We've got NXT pay-per-view last night. I mean, it's even after War Games, a pretty busy week, man.
Yeah, and I don't know what the fallout from War Games is, because it seems like they're all in a whole new different direction right now with everything. Like, I think we're at one of those points in the WWE calendar where things get kind of shifted. And
like we said last week, it almost seemed like it was a system reset.
Yeah.
You know, they came out on Monday night with Seth Rollins and CM Punk and Sami Zayn, and they started to tell that story.
Yep.
Where that story is going to end up, I mean, Sammy basically got into Seth's face and was like, you know, we wouldn't have had to win with CM Punk, but you were too stubborn to help us, and that's the kind of direction they're going with that.
Yeah. And I think we've all been waiting for the Seth CM Punk thing to happen, and that seems like where that's going to be going. I mean, CM Punk laying the little lines like, I don't have time for you. You don't have what I'm looking for anymore. It's just a dig to Rollins' ego. You could tell it got to him because he ends up pushing him by the end of the segment. So we'll see where that goes. But then at the end of Raw, you have... Is that to get Sammy out of the way?
I don't know if Drew's just going to go with Sammy. Because I honestly think that Drew and CM Punk are completed. I don't think that needs to go on anymore.
No.
There's a lot of things that came out of Monday night.
Is there an angle they're spinning that Punk and McIntyre working together with someone attacking Jay? I mean, Rollins was like, you know, use your head. He goes, I love your heart at the end of that match. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, you got so many different, like you said, it was almost like a reset to the company. Where they go from here. I mean, we didn't even see the OTC, the original Bloodline on SmackDown. We saw the new dismantled Bloodline that's on there. I mean, I don't understand. Like, in my opinion, as a smart wrestling fan, Solo Sikoa has no clout with me whatsoever to be the tribal chief. You're going to go backstage and beat up Apollo Crews in security, and all of a sudden you're supposed to be the guy again?
Right. No, I agree. I totally agree, man. It's like they ruined him at War Games.
That was
he's going to have to do something like completely drastic and just annihilate like half the roster or something.
Don't come after the guys you come after.
Yeah.
Make a statement against Cody Rhodes. Make a statement against anybody that's of anybody, but Apollo Crews in security is your first thing back.
That's the thing. That's why it feels like there's nothing like I mean, I'm sure they do have it all worked out, but it's like right now, it's like they're just putting things together just to like fill a 2-hour show on Monday and Friday night.
It's like they're bridging the gap. We got next weekend a Saturday night main event, and then we have the Netflix premiere, which I feel like the Netflix premiere is going to be bigger than it's almost going to be like a standalone. Like
right.
PLE.
Maybe they're just filling time right now, just trying to keep an entertaining show weekly, and these storylines will turn into something once the Netflix things drops. When is that? Is that immediately in the new year?
January 6th.
Yeah. So right. So the new year is starting off with all new Raw.
They haven't really announced anything like official there because I mean Saturday night main events actually card is starting to take place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for a while it was just Cody and KO. But now Finn and Gunther.
Yep.
You got quite a few matches on the card now.
Well, where's that going? Like you just had the match with Damian Priest at War Games. I mean, we know Finn and Damian's history.
And Damian's gonna come and blow the match for Finn. It's just
right.
Gunther's going to be the odd man out because he's going to keep winning a title match by other people's help.
Right. Yeah, and what does that do for? I'm sure there's a thing like he'll use it to his advantage at some point. I just like right now it's just like I don't know. It just feels like we're kind of like in La La Land.
Well, there's nothing
nothing established.
There's no PLEs until Royal Rumble.
Yep.
I mean,
and then what? Liv has a match against someone on Saturday.
That's Liv and Rhea.
Yeah.
Oh no,
no, it's not even
Sky,
Rhea.
Sky. I'm sorry. Yeah, and Rhea's going to be involved in that.
Yeah, because she came out the other night during the.
Are we going to see? Yeah, I mean there's some good stuff happening. You know what I noticed on SmackDown the other night? You almost are starting to feel that Dolph Ziggler type crowd reception for Tiffany Stratton. The same way the crowd started to turn for Dolph when he had the credit. And if we all remember, the Dolph Ziggler cash-in on Alberto Del Rio is probably the greatest cash-in of all time. That crowd pop, that win next to AJ Lee and Big E when they had their little faction. And I kind of feel on Friday night that there was a big shift in the crowd starting to get behind Tiffany Stratton, not being that heel.
Yep.
And it's like, I think everybody's just ready for it.
Yeah.
Because Nia doesn't really do much. No. And I think, I mentioned it last week in the War Games match.
When you're always looking for that next star, too. And like when you get behind someone.
She is.
Yep, she is. She definitely is.
Yeah. I thought they missed an opportunity in the War Games match. I don't think we've ever had a situation where a Money in the Bank briefcase holder stood over both champions, knocked out, and had a chance to cash in on one. I think the WWE missed out on a major storyline that they could have done where she could have cashed that in
on both,
and she could have pinned both of them. Like she could have pinned both of them, and it would have been a whole story. Like, oh, she didn't cash it in on me; she cashed it in on you.
Right.
And I think they could have really done something cool with that. Yeah. How many times have you ever seen a Money in the Bank briefcase holder have a chance to cash in on both champions at the same time?
Yeah.
It's never really ever happened that I can remember.
No, and it would have been a great way to go. But I just feel like that, like we're in this reset pattern, and we're like in a holding pattern at the airport, like just waiting for the flight to take off. It's like, but I mean, it's not that the shows weren't entertaining. They had great matches, and there's some things. I mean, the KO and Cody thing is still going to be great at Saturday Night Main Event. I don't know. There's just not a lot to be real excited about in the current moment.
I mean, I'll be honest with you.
Roman didn't show up on SmackDown.
Yeah, which was really weird.
Jey Uso gets taken out on Raw. Like, where are we at right now?
Are they saving Roman for Netflix? Because he said he's going to be on Raw with Netflix.
So are they going to have an intermediate draft at the end of the year?
Well, now that they have the transfer portal open now, I heard.
Oh, is that what we're going to do? We're going to incorporate college. We're going to incorporate college football rules.
There's like a transfer portal period or something going on right now.
I heard something about it. Yeah.
Oh, you guys know how I feel about the draft. It's only getting worse.
So I firmly believe we're in one of those like patterns right now, like where storylines are just what they are. Like there's nothing that's really until the new season kicks off, basically. Like. Right?
Yeah, I mean, there's some cool things. Like, we got new tag team champions on SmackDown, which I thought was the ruse is over. I mean, Tommaso Ciampa's little 3-week tirade, and apparently Johnny Gargano was in on it all along, just to kind of rope in the Motor City Machine Guns, and boom, the low blow came, and they all laughed, and it was that old DIY. I thought it was good. I love DIY. I love those two guys. I love the Motor City Machine Guns. I'd like to see a nice rematch. The Street Profits were supposed to have the match. They got beat up in the backstage. And then Johnny Gargano playing the innocent guy. Oh, we might be able to fulfill this match with you. I can get Tommaso on board.
Right.
So they knew. I mean, I thought that was a nice little 4-week storyline that paid off nice in the end. I like those little small storylines that pay off.
Yeah, no, that was cool. I don't know. We've been talking about it for a couple of weeks now with A New Day. That segment left me like with not much. Like I could
Oh,
with
on
Big
Monday,
E coming out. I mean, I know it was a big deal, and I know they're trying to like. I don't know what they're trying to do, honestly. Like, it was Big E's fault all the time? Now they're on the same page. They did the brothers in arm at the end of that segment.
I think that was the symbolic funeral of the New Day.
Right.
I think you finally had all three of them in the ring. The two guys, did a little swerve on Big E. I'm saying it was all his fault, but I think that was like
they were going kind of hard with saying
they were
like they named Stone Cold coming back from neck surgery. And the fact that he didn't even have surgery, like
I think that was the symbolic funeral for New Day. I think we're done with it. Now I think those two guys can now. I think that
harder edge tag team, something more of what they want to do.
Well, I think like what you just said with the in arms at the end was more of a symbolic, like, okay, we're good. We're on our own now.
Really?
I mean, we'll see. But I mean, I feel like that story
who cares about them staying a tag team either?
Yeah.
It was more intriguing when they were going to go against each other. then getting it turned right on Big E right away. It was like, I don't know. It didn't do much for me. Like, I get it. I'm glad it's over. Hopefully it's over. Yeah. I mean, how about the other, like the potential storyline that I love that took a nice little twist this week was the Wyatt Six and the Final Testament. The attack on Scarlett, creepy Nikki Cross, the writing on the mirror, kind of the comedic performance by the Miz. Yep. Talking about, I'll just stay here with her, and he's and Cross is like, no, you're coming with. Yeah.
Are they good? Is this, I think this could be something special. I really do.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they keep going with it. I've been enjoying the little, sections and stuff like that. I think it's been great. I'm excited to see how nasty it can get and if they can really develop the story.
I mean, I know that we had times where we would say, like, there's certain guys in the company that I love, and I can see stardom in it. Like, we've talked heavily on this show about Ludwig Kaiser, but I have always been a fan of Karrion Kross.
Yep.
Even back to TNA days when he debuted as Killer Kross. Like, I loved when I think I remember telling you this like 15 years ago when he showed up in TNA. I said, dude, this guy has got something.
Yeah.
And even now, like, I think he's underutilized massively. I think he could be such a bigger person in the show. And I think this Final Testament is a good thing that they're doing, and the feud with the Wyatt Six. But I am a massive fan of Karrion Kross. I think he could be something very special.
Yeah, I see it too, man. I think he's good personality as far as like owning the character. Great in the ring, and I'm excited to see too, like, wow, this whole thing develops. And I
like to see the Wyatt Six get their mystique back a little bit.
Right,
they've kind of gone
just like they did with the Wyatts.
Yeah, I mean, they've had some segments. Like, I want to see that come out again, and I guess I think they're fighting this Monday night, or is it the main?
But you got to start escalating things. You got to start like bringing it like to like where people like have to tune in every week to see what's going on. Like, you can't just have like a little segment of the show and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, let's see some fucking action. Like,
yeah. It was a weird follow up to Survivor Series. I mean, there's a lot of stories, but there's not. Like,
I know, like
they're putting these shows together, and I know they're focusing on, Saturday night's a big night for them. They're going to be on NBC. Like, no, they're not on Peacock. They're on NBC.
Right.
That's a big spot for them.
And maybe that's going to be the kickoff to like everything going forward. Like, maybe some things will happen that night within the matches.
Jesse Ventura's coming back to be commentator.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Just like the real one, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, because he's been gone for a long time.
He's been the mayor of Minnesota, or the governor, yeah. I ain't got time to bleed.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it was like we had a lot of cool things like that kind of got put, like, what they did this week? It was like a lot of those storylines that didn't get put into Survivor Series, like they kind of told those.
Right.
Like the Wyatt Six and Final Testament, the New Day. They kind of talked about the I don't know. I think maybe Braun and Ludwig are on the Saturday night card too.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'd love to see Ludwig get a title, man.
Yeah. I mean, if they want to have like a big Saturday night blowout, like have some surprise wins, put some new people over.
You want to get people to tune into Netflix, you got to show them that something crazy can happen.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still interested to see what's going to go on with the KO, Randy, and Cody thing. I mean, right now they got Cody jobbing every week against guys in the mid card. I mean,
Randy's got to come
last
back.
week, I forget who he went against. This week it was Chad Gable. I mean, nice little moment to put Chad Gable over.
I think, speaking of underutilized guys,
yeah, I like
think
Chad
Gable
Gable.
is one of those guys, and he is.
He's gotten so much better.
So good in the ring, dude. So good in the ring. Technical.
Yeah. And he's created some gimmicks for himself, like on the microphone with his character.
And, I mean, thank you, and like that was a good match.
This whole thing now, where he's like a little crybaby, wants everything to be like under his control.
American made. I mean, that's a good little faction.
He wants them to be more aggressive. Wasn't that last week on Raw or SmackDown when he was going after them like, this is what I want, slapping them, and I mean that was cool. You know, I think Chad Gable can be something. Like, he's right at that like peak moment of like where he can really separate himself and start contending for bigger belts and stuff.
I think the problem with Chad Gable is he always is going to hold that Kurt Angle comparison.
Of course. And that's true. That's all you think. It's true.
It's damn true. But it is true. Like I think it's going to be hard for him to shake that.
He's gonna have to almost step away from like the actually like real wrestler like persona.
And I mean, he has done that a little bit now, dressing in suits and he used to come in the singlet gear all the time.
Yeah, like watching him the other night with Cody, and then they were both in like nice attire and like talking like fucking
he can
shop.
hang.
It was cool, man.
But his size, he's small. He's a small guy. But, I know Vince McMahon was always about the big guys, and he's not the man anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, you look back to like Daniel Bryan's Yes movement. That was the same knock on Daniel Bryan. I mean, different, but guy you never could see having the belt because he didn't fit the fucking mold, but was amazing in the ring. And all it takes is one thing that gets you over with the crowd, and they can go any which way they want to, man.
Yeah, it was. What else they continued? Speaking on that mid card, they continued the Shinsuke LA Knight thing, and then they interjected the New Day. But then they had Andrade come out. But like, enough with the Shinsuke.
I've already lost interest in it. I thought a couple weeks ago that was going to be a cool thing, and it just even watching that the other night, like LA Knight's even. I'm kind of getting off on him too, like.
Like, the Mist is just so...
I think they have a dangerous thing with LA Knight where, like, he at this point, I think, only has, like, the LA Knight gimmick. Like, it's starting to get old. Like, they really need to, like, put him...
Cody.
Huh? Like Cody? I know, that's what you say, but Cody still can carry everything. They're doing that like I'm an every week fighter with Cody right now, and I'll defend the shit every time. It's like, why aren't we seeing him and Kevin Owens going at each other leading up? Like, I mean, I know Kevin Owens came out the other night, but...
What did you think about Cody Rhodes in his interview with Michael Cole in the car?
Oh, Kevin Owens?
There was some really cool, like, comedic things in there where Kevin was like, get out of my car. Would you please get out of my rental car?
Yeah. And then when Michael Cole does get out, he rolls the window down. He's like, hey, Michael. And then he rolls it right back up on him.
There was a couple
I had a couple chuckles with that. That was
Kevin
funny.
Owens is funny. Michael Cole's just, you could beat him up over and over again. But, like, I thought that was, I mean, they're just...
It's just an entertainment product right now.
We've talked about it on this podcast, how they just kind of interject Kevin Owens wherever they need him.
Yeah.
Wherever they need him. Because that match on Saturday night is going to be broken up by Randy Orton.
Oh, yeah.
And if it's not, then that's just terrible writing.
Right.
Like, why else would you...
Because Randy's not hurt. He's not really,
Speaking of hurt, like...
Because we haven't heard anything about him since he apparently got piled right.
Which is good, because if they're keeping it quiet and he comes on Saturday night, cost KO the match. And then Cody gets mad at him because I didn't need your help.
Right.
And then Randy's like, well, I didn't come here. I didn't beat him up to help you.
Yeah.
And then there's the three-way.
Yeah.
Royal Rumble or Netflix.
There you go. Yeah, I mean,
sign us up, Triple H. We're just writing your show for you, buddy.
And Cody will probably go with some angle. You can't be in the ring. Look at what happened last time. He's dangerous.
Yeah. Like Triple H was like,
right.
I can't.
They do the same angle with Cody, like, and then Randy's gonna get pissed and be like, I don't need anybody protecting me. You know what I mean? Like,
and then he's gonna go ape shit on people.
Yeah, which would be good to see. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I just feel like we're kind of like in this like this. It's good. It's fun. It's entertaining, but we're just at this like
we're at a weird point. That's why like this week I was really attracted to the other shows. I watched everything, but NXT had their big pay-per-view last night. I kind of like the Iron Survivor match. It was the first time I've seen it.
What was that? I haven't been able to watch a lot this week.
Yeah,
I've been
well, the
bouncing
Iron
around.
I think this is like the third time they've done it. So basically, there's 5 wrestlers in the match. 2 guys start, and every 5 minutes, another person gets entered in the ring. But if you get pinned, you have to spend 90 seconds in a penalty box, and the person with the most pins at the end wins.
No, that's
so,
cool.
like, if you get pinned, you lose a minute and a half in the match. You got to go wait.
So other people are counting pinfalls.
And the people they had in the match was great. Like, it was like Wesley.
Was it like high like pinfalls and stuff too?
Yeah,
like,
well, no, it was like
it was
like it was. So you had Wesley, you had Ethan Page, and you had Frazier, and you had Evans. You had Jamar Evans. I can't remember his first name. And then the 5th person had to be replaced because we all know that The Rock's daughter is the GM on NXT, so she had to replace the 5th person, and of course they picked the monster Obafemi, and he comes in, the longest reigning North American champion in the company, and he comes in with size and power, and it was just a pin fest. They all had 1 pin, somebody had 2, and then Obafemi had a double pin at the end to get the 3 pins and win at the very end. But he was trapped in the penalty box with Ethan Page. That was a nice little segment. They had a little run in. But Obafemi, he is a monster. Like, he's going to be the dude coming up soon. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't be surprised. Well, he just won the number 1 contendership by winning that match. So him and Trick are going to have an unbelievable program, I think.
I'm going to have to start paying more attention to NXT. Because I remember, like, in its heyday, it was fucking awesome. Yeah. And it has continued to be, but...
Yeah, I mean, Obafemi, he was the longest reigning, and then he had the nice little match with D'Angelo, and he won the belt from him. But him getting in this match, getting the double pin at the buzzard was pretty cool. You had a lot of good spots for the young guys. Wesley, he's an awesome high flyer. That was fun to watch. But, like, to have Ethan Page coming over from AEW, who's now a permanent fixture on NXT at the top of the card. And now you're going to have...
Is it the same guy I'm thinking of? God, there was another Ethan that was
you're thinking of someone else. You're thinking of EC3.
Yeah,
no, Ethan, All Ego Ethan Page. Like he came from AEW, but he was in the match. He's been inserted right to the top. But I think Trick Williams and Obafemi could have a nice little program because I think both of those guys could come up. Obafemi's got the size.
Yeah,
I think it could be real good.
Well, that's the time, like, and that's probably why we're at where we're at on the main show right now. Is like they've probably got plans of introducing new people from NXT. Yeah. Like it's the new season's coming up when the new year starts or WrestleMania season starts. It's a new season of WWE, so I think they're just right now just trying to put on shows, kind of keep some things carrying on, seeing what is tracting, so that when they hit the ground running with the new Raw debut and SmackDown just got rebranded by switching networks, and
I like what they're.
It makes sense that Roman's coming to Raw if they do trade portal and all that shit.
I like what they did with. I like what they're doing with NXT. So when they have a guy that's not cutting it on the roster, they kind of sneak him back down to NXT. And a perfect example of what's happening right now is what happened with Ridge Holland. You know, when he was on the main roster with Sheamus and Pete Dunne in the Brawling Brutes. And he was the third guy. Like, Didn't
Right.
really get a lot of accolades. Didn't, he was always the third guy. And now he's been put back in NXT. And I watched his match and his character development with Trick Williams the other night. And that dude has totally reinvented himself down there. And he had the whole issue with Chase U, and now, Chase U is supposedly over forever, which is probably one of the greatest factions in the history of NXT, is now gone. But, like, his development is exactly what we talked about last week with the development of independent wrestling. Mm-hmm. And letting these guys get put. NXT is a fully produced production on TV. And sometimes when these guys get called up, they're obviously not ready. And they've let someone like Ridge Holland go back down, get put into the main spotlight of the main card. And he was unbelievable the other night, and his character has changed so much. And that's what I think Triple H has just nailed it with this development property and being able to rehabilitate guys, I mean, they even did it with, Butch and Pete Dunne. They kind of brought him back a little bit, and then he came back on the main roster as his old persona of Pete Dunne and not Butch.
It's almost like having like Major League Baseball and like with the minors. Like when you call a guy up, sometimes you call them up too early and they're not ready for the main stage.
Designated for assignment.
Yeah, so you send them back down, let them get their shit back together, and then, I think that's so cool that like NXT now is that ground for them. And that WWE is being more expansive with like the other independents, like we've talked about like last week and the week before. Mm-hmm. Like, there's only so much room at the top. There's only so much time on TV. I mean, even the mid cards. I mean, they're fighting tooth and nail to have like good spots to promote them.
That's what the old saying was. You got to get yourself over. If you want to stay up, you got to get yourself over. And that's what I think has been so good with having NXT.
And sometimes it's not even the wrestlers themselves or the superstars themselves. Sometimes it's just like creative is too busy and too involved with other things that you do get called up, and then you kind of get left in the shadows. Like even if you're doing good work, I mean, there's just like during the Bloodline storyline. I mean, how hard was it probably for other people to get over because of in like the heart of all that being created?
You got a bunch of minutes in a show being eaten up by that story.
Yeah, and you got commercial time,
which quite deserving because that's what everybody wants. But
you're not allowing other things to develop, which can carry you when things get stale in the main story, mm-hmm. which we feel like we're at a stalemate in that story right now. Because I mean, you just have the big War Game match, and nothing was really talked about this week with any of it.
I mean, the War Games. I didn't realize how many people got hurt in the War Games match. I mean, slow motion. That slow motion shot of Brunson Reed's ankle was nasty, and I saw him clenching it during the match, and he kind of stayed in the corner for the rest of the match. I don't know if you noticed that after he did the big spot, but he's out. I mean, that looked bad.
Man, he's a big guy. That's not easy to come back from. I'm sure he will, but
and then Jimmy Uso got hurt on his big spot. He's out. And then also
one of the other brothers or cousins,
the Tonga Longa, got tore bicep. So the new Bloodline is now down to 3. You got Solo Sikoa out there telling everybody, if you think we're dead, you need to come out and try us. Well, you did just get tried in the War Games, and you got destroyed.
And you personally got assassinated.
You have no credibility just because you have the Ulufale on your neck. It's just a necklace, dude.
You beat the shit out of LA Knight.
And Andrade and Apollo Crews and 4 security guards.
You scared Shinsuke out of the ring.
Yeah.
Like, this is the shit that, like, when this stuff happens, it's like, you're still trying to make him seem dominant, and it's like, dude, no, he's not. No. He's fucking around with mid-cards who...
This is what I told you last week when I said the WWE thinks we're stupid. Mm-hmm. They don't think that the fans are smart. Like, we all saw what happened Saturday night. Like you said, Solo Sikoa was executed.
Yeah.
How do you bring him back? I mean, I know you're going to bring him back, but, like, if you wanted to recover his credibility, he needed to go out and destroy Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Not Apollo Crews, 4 security guards in the backstage, And
entering the arena like they just entered TSA at the fucking airport.
Andrade.
That's what I thought I was watching at first. I'm like, what are we doing here?
I got Jacob Fatu putting his cell phone in a tray.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, they think you're stupid sometimes as a fan. They do this all the time. Like, you don't remember what happened 3 days ago?
Right.
Like, you don't remember watching Solo Sikoa have every finishing move put on him in the matter of 1 minute
by all 5 guys.
Yeah,
all
and
five
and
guys.
the new bloodline or the original bloodline destroying the old bloodline or the new bloodline.
Right.
Like, how do they come back 5 nights later and still have credibility of being who they are?
And not even address it. Not even like, I mean, Solo's like, if you think we're done.
Well, we just saw you're done.
We just saw that you're done. Roman didn't even show up
because he
doesn't. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Just because you have the Olafale on your neck, that means you're still the tribal chief? You just got executed, dude.
No Heyman. CM Punk's messing with Rollins. Sammy's messing. I mean, I don't know where we're going from here. Are we going to address it this week on SmackDown?
The bloodline went from up here to way down here in my book.
Yeah, just like that. War Games was
it was my favorite storyline, and I've said it on this show, even to the some of the fans feeling the way we're feeling right now. You guys were feeling that. I saw a couple comments on our videos 3-4 weeks ago. I see it now, guys.
Yeah.
I see it. I didn't feel the same way you did 3-4 weeks ago, but I see it now. Like, we came to a conclusion. Whether it was ceremonial or not, it was visual.
And unless they figure out something else, it's just going to go to the wayside and it's going to get stale. And it's going to be boring.
How are they going to save Solo Sikoa's credibility? Unless you're a kid. But if you're an adult that loves wrestling and watches wrestling, like, we're not stupid, Triple H. Like,
right.
We watched what happened Saturday night. That dude means nothing to me right now. Nobody should be afraid of him.
Nope.
Nobody should be afraid of him.
He has zero power.
Yeah.
Zero play.
He got executed and he lost 2 of his members that night. He's at an all-time low.
Yeah, and he shows up to a show that none of them are at.
Yeah.
He didn't show up on Raw.
And he goes and beats up.
They didn't show up on Raw and fuck with everybody.
And
that would have been even better. Show up on Raw and destroy CM Punk, destroy Sammy. Maybe they were the ones behind the Jey Uso thing, but it's like
he beats up mid-carders.
But Seth's warning Sammy to be like, no, it was Reigns, and it was Reigns, or it was CM Punk. Like, I don't know, the mistrust angle, where they're going with all that. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how they pull this together.
Yeah, now, I mean, after Saturday, they got 2
all the things that we predicted leading into War Games, like, not that we predicted, but that we were hoping to see, or maybe where the story was going, the Heyman turn, or...
Well, I mean, I didn't expect a Heyman to turn that night.
But you want to see, like, little...
Yeah. But
little crinks in the armor, you know what I mean?
I'm disappointed The Rock wasn't there.
Yeah.
You have him show up at Bad Blood and do his little deal.
Keep teasing him every
PLE. Why didn't we show him up? I mean, was it because it was in Vancouver, Canada, and he didn't want to go there? Like, I mean, I know Vancouver is not the easiest flight to take to Western Canada.
Shame on him if he does if he didn't want to, and that's why they couldn't.
Well, no, I'm sure they didn't do it. They probably never asked him because it was Vancouver.
Right.
But it's like, I know we're going into this 2 weeks in a row with how disappointed we are. But the thing is, it makes it even worse, KT, is that they didn't come back this week and try to fix it.
No.
They kind of like, they kind of went.
It's like it never ever fucking existed.
They even went like more in on it. They're like, oh, we're going to raise it now. We're going to raise you. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm watching it. I'm like, this is stupid.
It's like when they push someone that, like, isn't ever going to be anything, but they keep pushing and they keep pushing, no matter how much the fans like.
What they did with Roman,
right?
Until it clicked.
Until it finally clicked. I mean, Solo's good. He's not Roman Reigns good.
Not even close. He's not even close to Roman Reigns.
And you never did that to Roman, where you just totally assassinated him.
Yeah,
I mean, Roman would get his ass kicked sometimes, and got turned on by Seth. But he was always strong in the moment. This fucking, like you said, it should have been a bigger attack. They should have went after a bigger whale this week on SmackDown.
I'm glad you beat up Andrade and LA Knight.
Yeah.
And you scared Shinsuke out of the ring, and you beat up Apollo Crews.
But is LA Knight going to show up next week and be like, I want you solo?
Might as well. Nobody else is. You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
And now LA Knight doesn't even have his title anymore. I did read some things on why they put that belt on Shinsuke. Is because I guess Shinsuke is doing some specialty events in Japan, and I think they wanted that U.S. title on Shinsuke during that. Well, it's kind of a cross promotion. I mean, they're not going to do that for the storyline,
right?
But that's why they did that, and it makes sense looking back on it now.
And that's fine, but like LA Knight wasn't going to do anything with the belt anyway. They didn't have anything for him.
Yeah, and that's why they put it on Shinsuke because he had some cross promotion stuff coming with Noah, and I think that WWE wanted that U.S. Championship belt to be around.
I guess that's like we were talking about with the reset. I think they're at a point right now where they're re-looking at everything, and it makes sense to have a time period where you're like, maybe we need to re-examine like where people are at. Do we need to send, like you were talking about earlier, do we need to send them back down? Are they not carrying the weight of carrying the gold? Are we not doing a good enough job telling the story? Are we putting people with the wrong? It's almost like having a self-analyzed look at like we wish our fucking sports teams would do all the time, but they never do. They just keep repeating the same bullshit over and over and over again. You know?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely just a weird time. I mean, that's why it's almost when you have times like
and
this.
It always feels like this at this point.
Yeah, when you have times like this in WWE, it's nice to look at other places and see what else is going on. Like, I'm very intrigued with TNA right now. And also
AEW has some good stuff going on.
AEW does. I mean, like I said, Chris Jericho, the Ring of Honor champion, surprised today. Not today, but surprised this week with a shocking appearance of Matt Cardona.
Who WWE people would know as
Woo Woo Woo
Woo Woo Zack Ryder.
In his defense, though, he's kind of done the same thing that Cody has done. He has left WWE and exterminated that character, and now he went on to.
And he was over in WWE.
Yeah, but it was kind of gimmick.
It ran. Like, yeah, it was.
And he hated it. And he went out and made a name for himself on the independent scene. I mean, if you guys remember when he showed up on GCW and had a death match and won the GCW title, like a WWE guy showing up to GCW unannounced and winning a death match for the title, like especially a guy like him.
Say what GCW is that people don't know.
Yeah, GCW is it's an organization that focuses all their matches on death matches. It's hardcore, more extreme than anything you'll ever see. Broken fluorescent tubes, tasers, and I mean the worst
shit.
of the worst. And you get a WWE guy who's nice and polished, show up, unannounced
and agree to do that
fans,
shit.
Show up, goes through a death match, and wins the title. Like, it's almost a kick to the face to that underground community. Not that they're underground. They're a nice promotion. They do a very good job.
But also shows they respect that guy's from the level he was at came down and
be willing,
that they put the title on him
and be willing to go through a match like that because it's a bloody mess. Yeah. It's not for everybody.
Right.
Some people love it. But he reinvented everything. TNA. And now showing up on Ring of Honor, even though Ring of Honor is part of the AEW umbrella, but showing up and challenging Ring of Honor at Final Battle, Hammerstein Ballroom, which is always an awesome venue, and Chris Jericho's the Ring of Honor champion. That's going to be awesome. You're going to get. And it was funny when he came in the ring, Chris Jericho was like, "Oh my God, it's Zach," and he cut him off. Was like, "No, Zach is dead."
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it was like, it was really cool. Like, it was a cool moment. And because Jericho and Zack Ryder, they were there at the same time.
Yep.
However many years that was. But I think that's a great little story for Ring of Honor. I mean, to have that.
So like you said, man, this is a good time to like check out other promotions, check out other things. There's some good storylines going all around.
Yeah, I mean, Dean
really Ambrose
good.
is doing his thing over in AEW.
Ooh, don't say Dean Ambrose, man. That's John Moxley,
John
baby.
Moxley, yeah, my bad. But I mean, there's some good stuff going on all over the place. It's just
you turn on AEW, there's a lot of familiar faces. If you're just a WWE fan,
faces.
They might have different names, but they're definitely.
Bobby Lashley just showed up at what's his name over? Is it Bobby Lashley?
Yeah, Bobby Lashley is his name.
Yeah.
But they've basically reinvented the Hurt business over there because MVP's there, Shelton Benjamin's there.
Yeah, they got a nice little faction being developed over there. Moxley's got his faction over there.
Yeah,
Cassidy's got his cast
he's
of
always
characters.
had. Moxley's always had some kind of faction over there. This new one is like a morphed one.
You know what's funny for me is like when he was Ambrose in the Shield and even in WWE when he had his individual run, like I never could get behind him because I just didn't like his persona. I love it so much more in AEW. Just like, I mean, he's bigger now. He just seems like that lunatic fringe. Like I never liked it because I never felt like his character matched the way his appearance was. Now he's like at the shaved head, fucking walks around in the white tank top and just beats the shit out of everybody. Like he's the man.
Yeah, I mean,
before he was like the crazy guy that's gonna do crazy shit, and it just never related to me. Like,
speaking of GCW, that's where he went when he first left.
Yep.
Like he's been a deathmatch guy prior to WWE, and when those guys.
I think too, seeing some behind the scenes stuff with him, like off camera, like when they were doing some of that stuff that he was a part of. I think wasn't he on the Diva show at one time because he was dating or
he's married to Renee Young,
right?
So yeah, he was.
So you got to see him
kind of
like
his distance from that.
But you just got to see him and you'd be like, he's awesome.
Yeah, and they lived in Vegas. They lived in Las Vegas and all that stuff. So, but yeah, dude, it's like the AEW world. I will be honest with you. AEW is hit or miss for me. Mm-hmm. Production quality to storylines, because sometimes I think their stories can be a little bit too allowing the wrestlers to have too much say, and it's what eventually killed WCW.
Right.
But like to be able to,
like the thing I like about AEW is like the matches are really good.
Yeah.
Like I mean
because they model
because
after,
it's more about being wrestling. Like that's their thing. Is
a lot of guys in AEW are Ring of Honor guys, New Japan guys.
Right, so if you want to watch
NWA
good matches,
guys.
like that's a place to go. Stories can be hit or miss. And they are. They really are hit or miss. Yeah. They'll have one good storyline and the rest of the show's shit. They'll have periods like that.
AEW, I was all about it when it first started and it was very good, and then it lost my interest. Jericho was a huge deal for them. If Jericho wasn't there in the beginning,
Kenny Omega,
but the thing
Hangman Page.
The thing with Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, like when AEW started, the casual wrestling WWE fan had no idea who Kenny Omega was and Hangman Page. Kenny Omega, however, was one of the greatest worldwide champions that ever lived prior to, but because he wasn't WWE, nobody knew him.
Yeah.
Like he was the dominating champion for New Japan for who knows how long,
and had endless of classic
and
matches
that whole little feud when Jericho became a free agent and he showed up on New Japan TV. Like I still get the goosebumps thinking about that night because that was unprecedented for the wrestling industry for Chris Jericho to show up on New Japan TV and challenging a match against Kenny Omega.
And wasn't that
That's
something
like
for
dream
Jericho
stuff.
to like ask like Vince like for his release, and he's like, I'm gonna go.
Yeah,
I remember there was like a big story about that at the time.
He's like, I'm gonna go do New Japan. I'm gonna go.
And he finally got the blessing to like go.
But he never said he was gonna go do AEW and compete right against him.
Right.
But the New Japan stuff that Jericho.
But that was way before AEW was even thought of. I mean, Cody was over there, like in New Japan. Like New Japan was awesome in that.
New Japan still is awesome. The problem is they just don't have the access over here. Like they come on. If you have Access TV, speaking of access, if you have Access TV, Thursday nights you get 8 to 10 is Impact, TNA Wrestling. I don't even know if it's called Impact anymore. But at 10 o'clock it's New Japan.
TNA's got some people over there too, man. I mean.
Yeah,
I've been paying attention to it on YouTube a lot lately. Seeing like their weekly episodes, just kind of tuning in for a little bit.
Oh, they have great shit going on.
It's intriguing, like what's
the Matt
going
Riddle
on.
showing up to help, those guys go against the Hardys. there's a lot of good stuff going on in TNA. Wrestling's getting in a good point again. Yeah. All the companies are healthy. TNA,
and I think, like you said, like Cody leaving and showing you can do it, Jericho leaving and showing you can do it.
It's changing the game.
People
These
that
guys,
Moxley leaving, Dean Ambrose leaving, and running. I mean, whether he's as big as he would have been in WWE, he's the head of a wrestling promotion.
Head of the table. No, but but if you think about like these guys that have gone, like now, Matt Riddle gets released, he's showing up on TNA. You've got Ricochet ask for his release. He's now on AEW. These guys, there's other places to go wrestle now and to be on TV.
And with what you said, like with H working with some other...
The WWID program, it's almost like a ranking system for independent wrestling. And I think WWE signed like 20 people to this thing, and they're allowing them to wrestle. I mean, they're not going to be, I'm sure these people aren't going to be wrestling on direct competitors, but like the independent scene. But like you've got wrestling, we were talking about this last week, you've got wrestling on almost 5 nights a week with Raw, NXT, AEW. AEW's got 2 shows. Friday night you have SmackDown and AEW Collision. You've got their online YouTube show. And you've got TNA, and you've got NWA, which is on YouTube, and you've also got New Japan. I mean, you've got 6 major shows that are on either social media,
bound
streaming,
to be something that you're interested in. On any one across any of those promotions, it's different superstars, different things. Going back to like that ID thing that you were talking about, like. I listened to Cody like an interview a couple weeks ago. I think I talked about it when it happened, but he was talking about when Vince came back to him after the AEW thing, and basically was like asking Cody to come back and like put the offer across the table and stuff. And it's like the fact that Triple H realizes that, hey, maybe if we do let some of these guys go, and not all of them are going to do what Cody did,
right?
A lot of them are probably going to fall right on their face because they don't do it the right way, or things just still won't happen, but. Man, imagine still having, they had to pay for Cody to come back.
Yeah.
Cody proved that he could. I mean, this is just them keeping the business under their wraps, But it's awesome because they're allowing those guys to go do it.
Yeah, and now you're seeing, like, I think
he's probably giving them a chance. Do you guys want to go back to NXT? Or do you want to go take a flyer?
There's a couple guys that have done this. I mean, Cody's probably the biggest thing. Drew McIntyre did it.
Yeah.
They pushed him to the side when he was in the 3-man band.
Right.
And then, he's come back. And I bet you Matt Cardona is going to be the next guy that comes back with a whole different personality.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah. And
I always liked him when he was Zack Ryder, but he just never got that.
That Zack Ryder deal is done. But he can come back and be that, okay, I'm going to change myself. The one thing about like someone like Matt Riddle, that just recently, like I watched him in the Met. He didn't change anything about himself. He's the same guy. That guy's not coming back to WWE.
No.
They want you to get released, and they want you to go make a name for yourself in a totally different way and come back.
Yeah, Cody created the American Nightmare.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And I watched Matt Riddle wrestle on TNA, and it's like, what are you doing, an independent wrestling tour as the same guy and getting paid?
You're just marking out.
Yeah, it's like...
You're basically marking out.
But you have Drew McIntyre go out, reinvent himself, comes back as a legit badass, wins the NXT title, goes on Raw, wins freaking heavyweight championship against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania in a COVID year in front of no fans. Like, carried the company during COVID.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that's what they want you to do. They want you to leave and invent yourself.
Yeah, like if we can't think of it for you, go figure it out. If you can't think of it while you're under our wing, go out, see if you can do it. Trust us, we got eyes on you. We're going to be paying attention.
We got guys everywhere.
Yep. And contracts end, and we can re-sign. Especially if it's going to make us money.
What else do you think about this week in wrestling? Anything sticks out in your mind? I mean, we got the tag champs that switched hands over the ruse.
Not too much, man. Like, I didn't get to watch as much this week. My shit's all over the place right now with the remodel.
Yeah, but it's there's a lot of like I said, the Bloodline stuff was a big disappointment. Tiffany Stratton getting massive cheers, which I think was kind of telling.
I just think stories are getting just getting going. So it's hard to like see what's gonna land, what's just gonna get thrown to the wayside because it's not gaining any traction.
Yeah,
I think we're just in that like kind of period for me anyway. I don't know if everyone else feels that way, but you know, just what I've seen, it's just like this is all just brand new out of nowhere. Like 2 weeks ago, we were leading up this way, and then it's just like now we're in a whole different direction with a lot of different
Kenny,
things.
We're all stupid. We
Yeah,
don't remember what happened last night.
It's why you hate the draft. It's like, oh, I'm supposed to forget that he was on this show for so long, and then, you know.
Well, I hate the draft because it's just stupid.
I know.
That's why I hate the draft.
Yeah, no, it doesn't really matter what show you're on, but you know, it just resets new things, and then again, new stories have to be told. And in the beginning, you're like, I don't get it. It depends on the two superstars and the writing to actually see if
shit. Eric Bischoff was on NXT this week. Didn't even forgot to talk about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's good. I thought NXT was great. I thought the pay-per-view was great, or PLE was great.
Like we just said, there's plenty of good wrestling out there. Like I'm been just on the WWE card right now, but maybe it is time to just go start taking a look at other things. Not that I'm not going to be watching Raw and SmackDown, but
like, we'll see what happens this week. I mean, they're heading into the holidays. I mean, Saturday Night Main Event next week is going to be big.
Yeah.
That's gonna be pretty cool to kind of be kind of a retro look back and see what happens. I mean, we got Ring of Honor Final Battle coming up at Hammerstein Ballroom, which I think will be awesome. That's a great venue. I love that place. And, you know, I believe New Japan has, I think we're close to Wrestle Kingdom. I think New Japan, you know, you'll see faces over there too. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people that have
tune in, do some research, get on some of these
it's good, man.
Fan forums and these different sites that
and
you
go
can
to
read
your local
about.
wrestling in town.
Yeah.
I mean, that's even cooler than anything.
We're excited for the next event we get to go to.
Yeah,
we should be able to have Brady on in the next few weeks. There's some traveling things that we got going on.
Yeah, we'll get him.
We tried to fit it in this weekend, but it just
a bunch
just
of
didn't work out.
Scenarios
Everything's just up in the air right now with holidays and
but we'll have Brady on, and we'll have some of the wrestling. I know Forrest Nystrom wants to come on. He was
a little upset that
he's a little upset
we invited Brady
on before him. You know, he's an entitled millennial. Of course, he's upset.
He's gonna throw a fit.
But we love Forrest, and we will have him on the show for sure. We're just let's get through the holidays. We're getting ready for the next PWR show in January, and we're looking to be a part of that. So, it's a good week. We got a good week ahead of us. Saturday Night Main Event will be happening. We're going to have some holiday shows coming up, and then we'll be coming back at you and with Brady and PWR, and we'll talk all about we'll get ready for the Netflix premiere early January, and we'll go.
We'll be
over
heading
Saturday
into
night.
the Royal Rumble after that, which will be awesome.
Yep.
A lot of good stuff
my
coming
favorite
up.
one. So, KT. Let's wrap it up, dude. In the great words of Jackie Moon.
ELE.
Everybody love everybody. Peace.